get into the calls, though. Nathan's a Chelsea fan. How are you feeling, Nath?
I'm happy with the decision today.
Go on.
I'm happy with the decision today. It's bittersweet, obviously, because Frank Lampard is a Chelsea legend and his playing career will forever be set in stone as a Chelsea icon. However, you can see from the previous 8 games or so that there is a very, very dark cloud hanging over Stamford Bridge and Frank Lampard and the rest of that team, and not all is happy there. And I think that the best decision was made today. You know, that people say you can be the best Formula One driver in the world, but it doesn't make you the best mechanic. You know, so being a player is one thing, but coaching at top level is a completely different kettle of fish altogether. And to be honest, I think Frank Lampard in himself knew this was coming. You know, there's a lot of talk saying that after the Leicester game, he was shaking the players' hands, thanking them for his time there. So he knew that this decision was coming. But ultimately, the thing that gave Lampard a few extra games was just his status with the club, you know. And as I said, it will forever be set in stone. But results are the most important thing, you know. And this argument that keeps going on and on about Chelsea sacking managers left, right and centre. Just look at the time that Chelsea have had since Roman Abramovich has taken over. Sacking managers seems to work for Chelsea. And when you go and spend 200+ million in the summer transfer window, you expect to be challenging at the top, or at least you should be sitting there in the top 4 at this moment in time. And it just looks like the next few games for Chelsea, if Lampard was still there, would be very bleak. And as a Chelsea fan, and a lot of my colleagues will say this as well, we're just sick and tired of watching this. It's sad football. That's the best way to describe it at the moment. It's very sad football.
No, I just think you're a spoilt football fan. That's just my opinion. But I think because Chelsea are that used to winning stuff under Roman Abramovich, as soon as a manager doesn't look like he's going to win something, you want him out. And I think we went through a similar spell at Arsenal, even though they didn't make the decision when they probably should have done. And I think it's just the sort of fan that Chelsea have attracted of late because of both my kids. Just to give you an example, are Chelsea fans, right? So when they were young and Chelsea started winning stuff, that's what happens. People jump onto these clubs because they're winning stuff. There'll be Man City fans all over the country because Man City win. They've got their hardcore fans that have been fans through when they were all down in the lowest divisions they could be and nearly kicked out the Football League. Of course there is. But the new breed of fans up and down the country who join clubs when they start winning stuff, that's all they expect. And when it doesn't look like they're going to win a trophy one year, they want the manager out. Simple as that.
That's completely unfair and untrue. Do you think Chelsea would next year then go on and challenge for the title?
Well, we don't know. Well, we don't know, do we? Well, we don't know because they've sacked him.
With the same crop of players that look absolutely miserable playing under him, with no confidence at all, do you think that he'd be able to turn that round?
You were top 6 weeks ago. Were you saying that 6 weeks ago? What was your thought 6 weeks ago when you were sitting top?
Well, that was things turned around very, very quickly.
Well, there you go. So they could turn back. They could turn differently again, and they could be top again in 7 weeks.
Did you see us play against Leicester?
I did.
Do you think, if that's a marker to go by, do you think Chelsea would end up finishing in the Champions League spot this year? I mean, how many years does it take? How many years is enough time to give somebody until we end up like Arsenal? Playing no
I just think, right, listen, I agree with some of the things you've said, but I just believe you've got to think of the year we are living in football. Very difficult circumstances. For anybody to lose the job in these circumstances, I think it's ridiculous. Because you cannot judge anyone. It's so difficult. He has brought in this new group of players, and they are good players. You can't tell me they are not good players who he's signed. Please.
Okay, let's bring in Dave, who's a Chelsea fan. Nathan, thanks for the call. Dave, what do you want to say?
Hello.
Hi, mate.
Hi, mate. How you doing? Yeah, I mean, I understand some of the points he was making, but I couldn't disagree more. Like, before I say this, I understand there's a bit of hypocrisy here. Abramovich has brought unbelievable success to the club. His method seems to work. There is method to the madness. Somehow it works. I don't know how, but it does. But there's just no soul. It's absolutely ruthless, and I understand that's how he works, but come on, he's not doing that bad. Like, yes, he's on a really bad run of form, you know, but we're still in the Champions League. We're still in the FA Cup. We're only 5 points off 4.
I think, Dave, I think what you've got to bear in mind is it's not about that. It's not about, look at, how close are we? We're still in the Champions League. He's looking, it's a football thing. They're looking at how Chelsea are playing. They're looking at how Frank has responded to some of the issues at the football club. And they don't see a way forward with that. The statement makes that perfectly clear. They don't see Frank Lampard as having the ability to turn this around. Now, we'll never know if they're right or wrong, but that's their firm belief. And the amazing thing about this is there's so many fans of other clubs who are looking at Chelsea or hating Frank Lampard, and they're all delighted he's gone. And yet in the previous seasons when they've sacked managers, they've all described Chelsea as an awful club that they really don't like because they keep sacking managers. But what they do remains a successful method, whether we like it or not. Them having a turnover of managers keeps bringing in trophies and keeps bringing in a sustained level of success that very few other clubs can match. So how can we argue with what they're doing? They're not looking at league positions or winning a Champions League group. They're looking at the manager and his ability, and they've decided, whether rightly or wrongly, they've decided he hasn't got the same ability as Thomas Tuchel has got to turn this around and make Chelsea successful. And the sad thing about that is we will never know if Frank could have done that. But it is inevitable because, lads, it's Chelsea. You're listening to Drive on talkSPORT with Tool Station. Tools and more for any task.